All right, what's up, guys? We're back with another episode. Today we have Amrik and Aanik on the podcast, and if you guys don't know who that is, they were the ones that were the number 27 seed at Chicago, and they pickled DJ Young and Thomas Wilson. So that's...
You guys have no idea when that happened. Like, Chris texted me, and he was so stoked. Like, I could hear...
it was like all caps writing. I was like, they pickled him.
The energy from his text, it was palpable, like when I read it through the phone.
I mean, I don't think you see pros getting pickled by random people. So
you hardly see him get pickled by the top.
Yeah,
pros.
yes.
We're just two boys out of Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been telling you. So when did I visit you, Chris?
Back in May.
It was the first time I've ever came to Minnesota. And when I came here, I don't know what happened. I felt like within a day, I got to play some very high-level people here in Minneapolis, and I just felt like everywhere I sneeze and I spat. I mean, I don't really spit, so it's disgusting. Don't do that. But I felt like it hit like a 5-0 plus player. That's what it felt like, and I was just like, how do you guys not have any pro players on the tour right now?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as he came here, Corey invited him to some private court. He got to hit with Jen. I can't remember who he got to hit with. I wasn't there for it, but I mean, he played a bunch of the usual top guys here.
John, who's now at Lifetime? I got to hit with some of the people he was hitting with. I don't remember all their names. I just remember they were very good, and I was like, I don't belong here. That's what it felt like.
Well, knowing all the people that are like playing pickleball, that's exactly what I hear. Is in Minnesota, we're just super deep at the 5-0 level.
Yes.
But we just don't have like that like top tier pros here, like California or Florida or Texas.
But it's happening soon, right? I mean, you guys made a splash.
Trying to breach it.
Yeah.
Definitely made a good splash.
Yeah.
So before we get to Chicago, I guess just for everyone, because there were a lot of people asking online, I guess both of you just kind of give us your backgrounds, former sports backgrounds and whatnot, and then we'll kind of go from there. So you can go first, Aanik.
Sure. So I grew up playing tennis. You can tell with the tui that I have.
Wait, what's a tui? You mean the two-handed backhand? Is that what you call it, a tui?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never heard
I've never heard of it either.
That's common lingo in tennis.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Never seen it.
No.
No.
Never once.
Okay.
Nope. In DC, they just call it two-handed backhand or a tutu.
Oh,
tutu. Okay.
Interesting.
I heard
I'll just
tutu.
start using that.
Tui in Minnesota.
All right.
But yeah, no, it started playing when I was young. Played all through juniors, USTA. Played varsity at Edina, and then played club at the U.
Okay. I'm going to interject when he just says at Edina. If you're not a Minnesota person,
Right. Yeah. Where
the
is that?
top elite high school in the entire state. So
okay.
It's not like it's just a random high school.
Okay.
I mean, so the women's team has won like 40. At one point, had won 40 straight titles in a row.
Wow.
State
40
titles.
straight?
40 straight women's tennis title. And the men had close to a streak, like 25, something absurd.
How are they doing that? Are they just recruiting kids from other states?
So at Minnesota, there's very high level tennis where there is a bit of that, but Aanik probably knows more than I do. It's just they're very good.
Okay, because I just feel like that'd be tough to sustain somehow without recruiting from out of state.
A lot of the times, the top players, when they come in state, they just sign up for Edina. And then knowing that the tennis program is just so good.
Wait, how do can you pronounce it again? Edina?
Edina.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It sounds like some sort of Pokemon or something. Edina, I choose you. Go!
Yep. Okay, so that makes sense with your background. So you said you didn't play college?
I didn't play college.
Okay.
I just played club.
Okay.
But once again, the club team at the U we're no joke.
Yeah.
We're not bad.
Yeah.
So.
And when you say the U, I'm assuming that's the university.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Just making sure.
So how about you?
So also very tennis heavy background. Played high school, junior tennis. I was playing everywhere nationally. Probably like top 50 in doubles, top 100 top 25 in doubles, top 50 in singles. Probably through 18. High school went to Rochester Mayo, which is not quite Edina, but we weren't bad either. So, I mean, we probably like top 5 in the state.
You guys always had perennial players. Coming through.
So like, I mean, we had individual talent, but we just weren't stacked as a team like Edina was. So.
I see. Wait, so did you guys know each other before playing pickleball, or did you guys know each other when you played tennis?
Funny enough, I reffed against this guy because he was 10 years younger than me. So when I went to Gustavus, where I went to school, I was a tournament director for 6 years.
Okay.
So when he was 12, 13, 14, he was coming to do these tournaments at Gustavus while I was the tournament director there. So I was roughing him, and I was like, watching this kid. I was like, oh, he's pretty good.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought you were going to be like, yeah, he was trash.
No, the Aanik I remember, though, would be a little hot-headed, and I was very strict as a tournament director that I'd give out point penalties left and right. So when I had my officials, I'd be like, keep an eye on him. I was like, if he chucked his racket, I was like, give him a point.
Aanik, you chucked your racket as a kid?
Were you a racket?
No, not as a kid.
No.
Just
Were you a racket breaker though?
I was never a racket breaker, but in high school tennis, I kind of threw my racket a couple times here and there.
How about you?
I was the worst. I was way worse than him. I could, again, when you're like ultra competitive, like so at that time, maybe I shouldn't say this on the podcast, but Wilson Sporting Goods, I apologize. They sponsored me.
Yeah.
And I just, because I knew there was coming free rackets, I just cracked them left and right. So
have you thrown your pickleball paddle out of anger yet?
I have not. So for whatever reason, pickleball, I'm good.
A little bit more cool, calm, and collected than pickleball.
Do you think it's partially because of how the community is with pickleball? Like I feel like in tennis, it's almost somewhat the norm. It's like fine if you break a racket, like people almost expect
No, it's
it.
not.
You don't think so?
No, it's not fine.
No, people in tennis, you get like a bad reputation too. But again, when you're a little brat, 16-year-old, who cares? You know?
Sure, I guess I'm just thinking when you watch the pros, if I see them break a racket, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know.
You think that is normal? Wow, that's because he has the problem.
Sure doesn't seem uncommon to see them smash a racket.
Everyone does it, but like the people that do it, they're like, you're not the greatest sport. You know? Like, curious. Like no one looks at curious, be like, oh yeah, you're a good sport about it.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
but it's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's definitely
that's why I broke
why
out
they do it.
rackets. Want to be entertaining to the crowd.
Well, your pickleball styles are very entertaining, I would say, especially after playing you guys today. We got demolished.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I knew it was going to be bad. Here's the thing.
It was bad, real bad.
I think we got as many points as I expected us to get, but the game just felt so much worse than I thought it would be. And I mean, I've played both of you, so like I already knew it was going to be bad. This was more for you to experience what it was like.
Yeah. Well, Chris would mention about, I mean, obviously, Aanik, I've seen you play. I've seen videos of you somewhere. Somebody posted either Sammy or I've seen some videos of you with Jennifer Tavernier, like post them up when you guys are playing. I was like, oh man, Aanik's a beast. Look at this guy. He's just ripping away. Honestly, when I first saw you, I thought, my first thought was, oh, he plays this really aggressive, energetic style. It reminded me a lot of Pesa. That's what you reminded me of. Just going in there, ripping things left and right. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then when Chris mentioned you have like the strongest drive. And I was like, it can't be that good.
That's what everyone thinks. That's what everyone thinks. And then they actually play him.
It can't be that good. So Chris told me that. And then, of course, when the news broke that you guys pickled DJ Young and Thomas Wilson, Grant Bond just came back from that tournament as well. He did pretty well with, I think, Brendan Long, and then they lost to Deckel and was it J Dub?
Yeah.
And then I asked Grant about you because, like, oh, did you see them? And Grant's like, oh yeah, I've met Amrik before, and yeah, he has one of the best drives. And I was like, really? Like, but you play against like all the pros. Is it really that good? He's like, no, it's good. He's like. It's like going to the DMV trying to get your permit to learn how to drive. You go to Aanik.
If you want to learn how to hit a drive, you come to Aanik. Now, if you want to learn how to hit a drop, I know a couple other people you might want to go talk to. Well, how long? I actually don't think I know this for either of you, or I might have a ballpark. But how long have both of you been playing pickleball?
Seriously, or just,
Yeah, we'll go with serious.
Seriously, probably since last December, November.
Okay,
so about
not even a year, but close.
Close to a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same thing. So seriously, probably about a year and a half or so. So last April.
Okay.
So just kind of on the tail end of COVID, I was just like messing around, and then ran into people that were about 50 years older than me that beat me, and I was like, okay, this has got to change.
Everyone's story. Everyone's story.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah,
Got
literally for
destroyed by
everyone's.
somebody.
Eventually, you guys will be the 50-year-olds
Yeah,
that beat up on a
yeah,
kid. That
yeah.
motivates them
Yeah,
to want
yeah,
to get
yeah.
into the whole thing. So when did you, if at all, was there a point when you guys have been playing in the last year where you're like, oh, like you could probably play pro, or wanted to, or is it just you kept getting better and it was just kind of the natural progression?
I think for me, it was after the Rogers tournament, probably around that time when I played singles, and I just knew that I feel like there was something there. And
But that's funny because that would have been really early, wouldn't it?
It would have been really early, but I just knew that there was some sort of spark there, like because I was still playing tennis
Yeah.
at that time last year.
Okay.
I was just transitioning out of pickleball.
Yeah.
And to any, out of tennis. And the thing is, to any tennis player that's trying to play pickleball, I don't know how they do it. I can't play both sports at the same time.
Sure.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Just me. I have to play just one or the other, and it was just hard to transition back and forth. But after that tournament, I was like, I'm gonna make the full switch.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, as people call it in the pickleball world, road to pro.
That
was my road to pro moment right there.
So, and then when you decided that, did you just think you had a solid shot? Did you just feel like you were better than everybody else, or how did it feel at that point? Where did you think you were in terms of skill level compared to some of the better players out there that you've seen or played against?
Well, I mean, I was playing with some, like, you gradually get invited to more,
Higher level
exclusive
games.
Groups. And that's what I was getting to over the summer. At the start, like Amrik said, I was playing with, just at the rec parks at, St. Louis Park or Golden Valley. And then you'd play in these, private groups, and you'd say, okay, I actually am doing pretty well here. And then after a certain time, you get in, I think the first time, the first exclusive group, I actually talked to you about it once, was the Sunday morning group.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, when I first got invited, I'm like, hey, there's this Sunday morning group that one of our friends puts on. And you're like, yeah, I've been going to these. And then I'm like, oh, if he's going, like, that's how I know I've, like, made it to, like, one of the higher level groups. I'm like, all the, the big names are in Minnesota are going to this Sunday morning group. And I'm just like, okay, now that I've proven myself at the Sunday morning group and I can play, because I remember coming to the first Sunday morning group, I was so nervous to play with you guys. Yeah. I was like, I gotta perform. Like these all like name brand players that come here in Minnesota. I'm like, I'm gonna feel so left out. So I'm like, and after that, after coming to a couple Sunday mornings and then Rogers, I was like, okay, I can play at the high level. Sure. And then that's when I knew, I was like, okay, I think I can commit to pickleball and make it with the high levels if I just give it all the attention I can give it.
Sure. Sure. How about you, Amrik?
Something similar. So, I mean, initially getting into it, like, I had no expectations because, like I said, I was playing it for fun. Yeah. But then when I lost to, like, 70-year-olds, I'm like, what is going on? Like, let me put in some actual time, because otherwise it was like once a month or something like that, right? Yeah. But then in the summer, that's still when COVID was kind of happening. I was like, well, not really doing tennis. I'm bored. And then my wife loved playing it. So I was like, okay, Megan, like, let's go and play. So we played more often. And then there was just enough people that whoever I played right at the beginning, with my wood paddle, I was beating them. So I was like, okay, if I'm beating you with this, and I was like, supposedly it's a real bad paddle. And I was like, I love it. But I was like,
just so you all know, Amrik, he still has it. He still carries it with him.
My backup paddle?
He plays with the Pro Kenix, but he has this wooden diller paddle.
Is it the one with the handle strap?
It's got a handle strap.
I put it on my wrist.
He genuinely loves playing with this. I probably a month and a half or 2 months ago, I was doing a shoot with Amrik, and I saw his bag, and I was like, why do you have a wooden paddle? And it's like, it's my backup paddle. And I was like, what? And he's like, no, I genuinely love playing with it. And I played him with it I got smoked. Like, he doesn't play any worse with that paddle.
Probably got more pop.
It does. That's what I'm
probably
saying.
has more
It has less touch, but I was like, I could hit it way harder. I was like, if you thought my drive was hard with Pro Kennex, I was like, wait till you see the Diller.
You definitely don't need a harder hand. I'm just saying you don't.
Oh my god.
So if you ever play Amrik, just ask him. He's got it with him.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
always
yeah.
has
Can
it.
you play your next tournament with it?
So I was actually thinking about that,
You should.
but then Chris was like, well, I don't know if it's going to be approved because I was like, it doesn't have a
'Cause it
stamp.
doesn't have the stamp on
So
it.
I was like, because it's 1970, because it's literally a PE paddle.
Okay. You
So-
should try and go and just have the Pro Kinex as your backup, because if you do it, you will get attention. It'll be all over.
It would be like Kyle McMakin with the cowboy hat.
You
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
But
you
see,
would
here's the thing.
make
They already
headlines.
made a name for themselves by pickling DJ and Thomas. So I don't know how much more of a name he needs. The only thing that would have made that better is if he did it with a wooden paddle.
That's what I'm saying. It's Aanik and Aanik round 2. The sequel.
I just got to hit it hard enough and
Yeah.
he'll finish it for me. So
Exactly.
Well, so
I need
let's
to
chat
see
about
it.
that then, because so it wasn't your first pro tournament. It was like your third Chicago,
that was my third.
and that was your 1st. Mm-hmm. Okay, so kind of just, I guess, run us through that tournament. Kind of, well, especially how you were feeling leading up to it, because you played Ben Johns at the Minnesota PPA, so like you had some experience with, center court, big crowd and whatnot, but you hadn't yet. So how was the whole tournament as a whole?
I think it helped because we played on Saturday. It definitely helped me, to get acclimated on Thursday and Friday. Going into my first singles match, I was all over the place.
Yeah.
It was tough to get just focused in. I think I went down 9-3 in the first set.
Okay.
And it was just really tough to, just zone in and, play the game that I'm used to playing. Because singles it comes a little easier to me than doubles. I'm still finding my touch and stuff in doubles. But, once I...
You didn't have a problem finding it today against us.
But once I, settled down, I just told myself, it's just another match. You go out there and play. And that was a similar mindset that I had in doubles. I think once we won our first 2 matches in doubles, I remember someone coming up to us and saying, you made it this far, you might as well win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like someone was like that, and I'm like, you might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well just like hunker down and just play our game and take it to them, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
Like-
so were DJ and Thomas the third one then?
That was.
Yeah.
So that was right before
and
that.
it was on one of the center courts, and I'm like,
That's why it made such a big
Yeah.
splash. Might as well win.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
right. Pickled.
Well, being on center, I was glad to see you guys on it. One, just because it's fun to see,
Yeah.
Minnesota people on center court. But playing on that court, did it feel more? Obviously, you've got more attention on you than the side courts. How was that for both of you?
Well, you've had that in tennis.
Yeah. So
it
like
must
for
have been
me,
easier for you.
I've come from like a big tennis background where like in juniors I was playing in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm
Yeah.
used to that. So like people always ask me like, oh, is it nervous playing Ben? I was like, they're very good players, but I'm like, I'm used to the like spotlight. So for me, it didn't make a big deal.
Yeah.
For me, I'm always more nervous because I'm like, most people that I know haven't done that. So I was like,
Yeah.
I know Aanik hasn't played in front of hundreds of people. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, let's chat about this and what this is going to look like. So I was like, all right, hey, when we're out there, we're playing our game, you and me, that's it. I was like,
Yeah.
the
Yep.
rest of the people don't matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
Did that work?
Well, yeah, no, it worked 100 times over. When I was playing juniors, actually, tennis, I would always tell my friends I would always want to be called, and I would always want to be on one of the farthest courts from the sidelines. Because I would never want anyone ever
the
to
crowd.
watch me.
Yeah, the crowd.
I would never love to be on the first court because I would never love that crowd just watching me. And it would just be a little thing. And I never liked eyes on me, but
Eyes are all on you, especially during that one. When Chris told me, I was like, oh, 2 brown people on center court? Heck yeah, let's go.
And that's the exact opposite. Like for junior or college tennis for me, I loved being on center court. Like pressure, I was like, put me on center court. I was like, I love this. I was like, I
You guys were
thrive
two
off of
opposite
this.
personalities.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I loved it. I was like, put me on there. I was like, I love more attention.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, I mean, going into playing DJ and Thomas, did you guys have a specific, I guess, strategy going into that? What was kind of the play?
Yeah, I mean, so everyone that's asked, they're like, "Oh man, you guys did so well." I was like, yeah, you know what's really good? I was like, I'm very like analytical. I was like, I watch matches. I was like, I know everything that I need to know about Thomas and DJ. I was like, they know nothing about him or me.
Yeah. Right.
So I was like, they're trying to wing it as they're going. And I was like, I know what your strengths are. I know what your weaknesses are. I know what your tendencies are. So I was like, let's do it. So I was like, I know that both of them just love being aggressive. And I was like, okay, great.
So,
that plays right into our game style.
Right.
So I was like, all right, let's drive, and then let's try to make them impatient, where anything that would be like mediocre high, I was like, they're going to probably try to speed it right at you. Just sit and be ready. And he just crushed them every single time.
Every single time. I was wondering, what are their weaknesses and strengths? Because it's tough for me to watch pros and analyze it because I don't know how to watch. And then when I'm watching them, all I'm seeing is stuff that I can't do. You know? And I'm like, what are you looking at? Patterns? They look like just normal stuff that I try to do all the time, except
Better.
But what makes it better?
Well, so for me, like, it's not something specific to like, I don't want to call out DJ or Tom.
Call him out. No, we need no. We're friends with DJ now.
But like when you're watching video, like how are points ending, right? So depending on how points are ending, either people are hitting a certain shot, they're setting up their partner, or they're just missing certain shots. So you know that, be like, hey, this shot set up this either winner or this error, right?
Sure.
So when you watch those, you know that, hey, look, here's what they like to do. So like DJ, he's super good at dinking, where he has aggressive dinks.
Yes.
Where he's going to set it up, and then anything that's mid-level, he's going to crush that thing. So I was like, hey, look, if you or me get pulled out and we can't hit a good ball, realize it's going to come hard at one of us, and we got to be ready to counter. So like he would cross-court dink to me, and I'd be out of position, and it's like a decently attackable ball, but he'd go right at Aanik. But Aanik was because we talked about it, he's sitting on it, and he'd hit straight down at DJ, and DJ wasn't ready for it.
I see.
So, I mean, you got to tell me then how many, while you guys were drilling, how many times you tried practicing hitting the net cord? Because in your first game, you hit like 5 net cord winners. I was watching, and I was like, man, if I'm DJ and Thomas, all I'm thinking is the only reason they're beating us is because the net cord. I mean, obviously, that isn't actually the reason, but like, it was an ungodly amount.
I will say this: the luck essentially, it was for sure on our side.
Yeah.
Set one. But now the practice part. Here's the funny part, right? Me and him, just guess how many times we had played together prior to that.
None.
3.
Oh,
3 times.
What?
3 total times prior to that tournament. I was like, imagine if we had played a little bit more.
Right. So then what made you decide to play this tournament together? Was it just the stars aligning? I know you guys locked eyes, You're like, let's do it.
I mean, going back to it, like when in Minnesota, that group of top players is small, right?
Okay.
And so I initially got into the so-called pro scene just because
because you're good.
I mean, the top guy here in Minnesota at the time was Johannes. Like, he was undisputably the best guy here.
So who's the best guys now? Is it you two?
I mean,
he doesn't want to say it, but I mean,
but there's a group of people that are, but like at that time, like Johannes was probably the best guy here by a mile. So like he was doing those pro tournaments, and he asked me. I was like, sure, love to play this tournament with you. So I got into it. And then my next pro tournament, I was like, okay, Logan, who's one of my good friends, I was like, get you into it. So like now we got 3 guys that have played pro. And then the next in chain was this guy who was coming up because he just started a little later than us. And I was like, all right, like it's your turn,
Call it on a 5th string. Let's go.
No. I'm just saying he came into the sport a bit later, so I was like, he's just more raw. But like he's 23 and super athletic. Like, find me that in Minnesota, or find me that anywhere in the country.
Yeah,
you're not gonna get that.
24.
Sorry, 24.
I'm getting older. I'm getting older.
He's at that age where that extra year of maturity matters.
I guess so.
An extra year of experience helps with his dinking.
Yeah. What dinking? He doesn't know what that is yet. Imagine how good he'd be if he knew how to dink. He'd be insane.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, okay. So after that, obviously you guys pickled them. How were you guys feeling after that match? I'm sure you guys got a ton of attention at the tournament after that.
I mean, why not win it, right? I mean, it's literally like the guy said. I was like, okay, we just beat the crap out of the 3 seed.
The 3 or the 2 seed?
3 seed.
3 seed.
Yep.
Okay, wait. Before you move on,
yeah.
didn't you ask? You asked DJ. We met DJ recently.
Yeah.
And you asked him about that match. What did he say? I forgot what he said.
I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something. I can't remember if it was about the match or if I specifically asked about your drive. It might have been the drive, and he was. No, it was definitely the drive, and he was like, I don't know, it's all right, like. And I was like, that's it? I was like, you really gonna play this off like this? I was like, I felt that drive. I felt some other pro drives. I was like, I know you've hit a few more pro drives than me, but I was like, there's no way you're gonna tell me that's not the hardest drive you've ever felt.
I mean, let's not get it confused. He can hit the crap out of
That's
the ball
true.
too.
Yeah.
So like,
DJ is a really big hitter too.
Yeah.
I would say your guys' overheads go neck and neck.
yeah. So like, he's equally probably one of the hardest hitters. So
For sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
it's
definitely
completely
very
understandable. So
Yes, but I think he said something along the lines. I guess he was just trying. He wasn't playing his game, or he was trying to play y'all's game or something. He just couldn't get into a groove. I don't know what happened.
well,
But,
I mean, like I said,
I mean, that's what
He
happened.
didn't know really anything about us.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that is a huge advantage coming in if they don't know anything about you, and obviously you're good players.
Right.
You know, it's like you don't. All the other guys, you see them every single weekend.
That's-
you know exactly what you have to do.
Yep.
Now your next round with them, we'll see. They might go back and watch that first one. And go, all right, when he hits this shot, he likes to hit the net cord, and it usually goes over.
Put my pedal a little higher because
Yeah,
the
a
net
little
cord's
higher.
going to hit it up.
Hit down
right.
on it.
Okay, continue back to what you're saying.
I don't even know what
That
I
was the
talking about.
like the next match with
Yeah.
JW and Declan and whatnot.
Well, so like after that, like I told him, I was like, look, at this point, if we've beaten them this bad, like we could beat anyone, right?
Yeah.
I was like, we've beaten literally probably one of the top people in the world.
Mhm.
So I was like, there's nothing for us to lose. And I was like, we win this next one, we're in championship Sunday. So I was like, let's give it all we got. And I was like, if we can hang with these two, theoretically,
we are a
we should.
legend.
Yeah, I was like, we should be able to hang with
Did
the best
you
of them.
think you were gonna beat JW and Declan?
Me personally, yes.
Really? Okay.
I feel like you got to go into that match thinking that you can.
You have to.
Yeah.
If
have
you
to.
don't go in there,
Yeah.
you already lost.
Yeah.
You lost before you start the
I
match.
suppose that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, how did it feel when you got there? Because I think each one was 6'11", 6'11".
One was 5, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, they
essentially,
might have
yeah.
both been 5'11". I thought they were the same score, but either
Could-
way,
could have been. Yeah.
So kind of walk us through that match.
Well, before that match, my girlfriend, she asked me if I was feeling, nervous at all. And I was just, I was telling her that I feel like I was just super grounded with what I was thinking and
you were
what
at
I was
peace.
feeling. I was just at that point, you've played such good competition because we played Adam Stone, we played, Johnson Cola and DeHart.
DeHart, yeah.
Like we played some very
Wow.
good people.
Yeah.
And we played them very well too. So at that point, I was just kind of like, JW and Deckel, they're amazing people and they're very great, but they're just like the next team up.
Yeah.
At that point.
And for me, I had already played JW because at the first pro tournament, I played him in Mesa.
Oh, because it was JW and Callan, right?
Yeah. So that's where, again, is like in that match, like, again, I don't know how seriously JW is taking it because it's random people in a second round match, so at that time, I wasn't nearly as good. And no offense to Johannes, but he was brand new too. I was like, I don't think he was nearly as good as Aanik at the time. So I was like, we went 2-9 with them. And I was like, okay, like if we can go 2-9 earlier before like I knew necessarily how to play, I was like, me and Aanik have a pretty good chance.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I was just like, I know I could at least keep up with him. And if we play our style and they get roped into our style,
Game on.
That's, yeah.
So what did you feel like was the difference, I guess, playing them, or what did they do well that, why do you feel like they won?
I think when you play at that level, it's just, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around just 2 to 3 points in each set.
Yeah.
And it's just those 2 or 3. For me, it was the shots that I knew it was coming because when we're on the court together, he's always talking to me, and I like that because I like it when and it calms me down. It keeps me in check a little bit as a kind of like a coach mentality.
Yeah.
He tells me, when I give JW this type of ball, JW is probably gonna do a little flick at your backhand. You just need to sit on it, just like he was talking with DJ.
Yeah.
And it was just 2 or 3. I was watching the tape back.
Yeah.
2 or 3 that I just hit either in the net or down, where I wasn't missing that shot with DJ and Thomas.
I see.
If I made those 2 balls and 3 balls, different set, I think, altogether.
And I mean, with like pickleball, it's just momentum, right? So like even with them, like I've done the film, so I was like, I know J-Dub's tendencies, but I know he's just another tier, and that's why I'm like, hey, look, you're gonna get the same or similar balls that DJ was doing, but it's probably gonna be a little sneakier, more hidden, and probably a little bit harder. And I was like, you just got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And we get those 1 or 2 on our serve, the momentum flips.
Yep.
I see.
You know, and but then they just stop our run, go back to theirs, go back to their kind of gameplay,
Right.
where they didn't get into those like hand battles.
Right.
That's what we're good at.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. Because I think at one point it was 4-3 them, and I think I missed one of those speed ups, and then they went on a run to go 7-3 up.
Yeah.
If we had won that 4-4, and who knows?
I see. Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about Deckel's serve because it looks unimpressive from the streams and from videos, but me and Chris got to see it in person at MLP, and I've seen it before a lot, like one time at the previous MLP, and it is just he's literally hitting down at the ball, and I think he's one of the hardest hitting servers like in the game. Do you guys agree?
oh, for sure.
The first serve that he sent to me,
Right.
I was like, okay, I know it's gonna be hard, so like I stood a little further back and all that. It's not necessarily the speed, but the height of it. Like when it bounced, I hit it shoulder height. I'm like, I've never seen a wiffle ball or a pickleball come up that high. I'm like, I just missed it because I just didn't make the right contact because I was expecting it to be low.
Right.
Yeah.
You were
I was
like,
like,
what sport am I playing? Is this tennis? Is that a
Yeah,
kick serve?
I was just like, wait, do I do a full swing? Like, what is this? I was super confused. Yeah, that serve is unreal. And
Do I need to saber this?
Yeah.
And if it's not on championship like court where there's enough space,
Right.
I don't know how you play them on like a regular
Oh man, I
You'd
don't
have
know
to do
how
a
you
pickup.
could. We
Saber.
actually got while we were at MLP, we got to play a little bit on championship court. Just there was big break or whatever, so we played some games on there.
Yeah, we were on the stream, bro.
Yeah,
nice.
we were on the
Nice.
stream for like 5 seconds before they turned it off. But what we found, there was so much space on this court, overheads and everything. It felt you could keep a point alive so much longer because you had so much more space to chase down a ball. Where here or any other venue, you've got I don't know what the usual spacing is. We'll just say
Your back is at the fence.
yeah. Or even just the side fence. You don't have space to chase an overhead.
yeah,
Or the center court, you have all the time in the world and you just send it way up in the air,
Yeah.
run back, and keep doing it over and over. So that extra space on championship court is really nice.
Right, here's a quick tip for you against big servers, especially if you're in a small like court area. This is what I do, and I have somebody serves deep. If I'm backed up, sometimes when you back into the fence, you kind of sink in a little bit, and it's hard to pop back out the fence. I put my back foot up against the fence to kind of like brace myself, and then like I push off the fence to get in.
I do the exact same thing.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
Because I was gonna say that's my secret. I was like, I just literally like push my entire body right before it comes,
Right.
and then I like move into it.
yeah,
as I'm
exactly.
going.
I put my foot back.
It's like a
and
little
then-
launch pad.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
launch pad. I feel like if you give me a mask, I'd be lucha libre. Like, it would be the best return you ever see.
So if you played JW and Deckel again, how do you? I mean, now you have some actual experience against them. Like, okay, let's say you played them 10 times. How would you expect that to go out of 10?
I think we could take it to them a lot better than we did. I think we would definitely. I know we would have a definitely different. We've talked about it. We've talked about our different strategy.
Yeah.
And how we would play them differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, don't want to give it away in
Yeah,
case we
right,
do.
of
but-
course,
of course.
no, of
I mean,
course.
I think we'd have a much better chance. And again, with a game like pickleball, we play them 10 times.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of execution, right?
Sure.
And
Right.
we didn't necessarily execute our best, and they did. Where it's like, okay, well, if they don't necessarily execute or we execute better,
Yeah.
well, then again, pickleball's a momentum game, right?
Sure.
Unless you're calling those timeouts to cut that momentum off,
Right. Yeah,
there
no.
it goes,
After playing you guys just recently, right before we recorded this, you guys complement each other very well. And I see it now. Yeah. So you kind of play, you're like the commander The commander role. You're the minion.
Amrik, if you play with Amrik, it doesn't matter if it's mixed. Basically, Amrik is going to play singles with backup, and that's just how it is.
No, that's not how it is.
I've seen you play.
Come on.
They get their 10%.
No.
They play an important role because they can't miss that 10%.
Okay, so actually that brings up a good point, because this is what bugs me sometimes on either those forums or these websites that like talk about, okay, what is the right way to play doubles or mixed doubles, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And this is where you go from, are you playing at a pro level or a high level pickleball, or are you playing just recreationally?
Right.
Because there is a right way and a wrong way, and that's where, again,
But it's changing too.
it is, but like if you look at the cream of the crop, right? The Ben Johns, the Riley Newmans, they take up a certain spacing of the court because that's the right shot based on the angles, right? So it's not that I want to take Aanik's balls.
Yeah.
I know that, hey, if this ball is coming in this direction and I hit it in this particular spot,
Yeah.
Right.
they cannot go behind me, or it's just a very low probability they can go behind me.
Yeah.
So either it's going to come to you or it's going to come to me. So I'm setting it up in a way that, hey, look, I'm going to shift here, you're going to shift there, and certain balls just go that way, right?
Yeah, right.
So this is where, again, is it's I know that we're joking about it because obviously you guys are knowledgeable about pickleball, but like the general public does not understand that.
Oh,
hey,
no,
look,
for sure.
The 70-80% that is being taken up, because that's where that ball should go.
Yep.
So this, it's that person's shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, I think there is, what always happens is people see the highlights where there's someone taking up a ton of court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then where they lose, and they're like, well, if they didn't
Yeah.
do that, they
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
have
if they
won
just
it.
stayed on their side.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or, even with mixed, I think you see people are always like, well, if the guys just let the women hit more of the balls, and it's like, well, if you look at the actual stats,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the women do hit the majority of the balls, but you
Yep.
saw one highlight
Right.
where the guy was more aggressive and like inserted himself and maybe won or lost the point.
Right. It's only because people only see or watch the highlights. They don't watch the whole game. And how many people out there actually watch a whole game and actually try and analyze a whole game? Probably.
Probably almost none.
None.
No, well,
Yeah.
actually, I would say basically none.
Nobody.
If you're a rec player, at least.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a rec player. I mean, after playing you guys, it was just okay. After the first game, I was like, okay, I know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I just can't do anything about it. The shake and bake was so strong. My first thing was just to after I experienced your drive, I was like, okay, I'm good enough to handle it, but I feel I feel like you're so strong at the net. So I hit the third shot to you, or the return to you every single time. I was like, okay, I have one more opportunity to keep you back, right? So that's why I hit it to you.
Yeah,
and then if I hit it. If I hit the Aanik, Aanik's good enough to hit like a drive or make me feel uncomfortable. And if the drop is not good enough, you're over there and you are hunting. You're leaning over and you are attacking. And that's where we got wrecked. And then a few times I had to play aggressive. I got you a few times, but I was like, this is not sustainable. Where you covered the middle and then I took the backhand like to the sliver of side where I got across you. And I was like, okay, I'm not good enough to execute that every single time. But it worked.
Yeah.
And then I tried to replicate it every time, but it was too hard. And then, of course, I was relying on Chris to hit, a certain type of return or a shot low enough.
And that's not going to happen.
Okay. I can't count on this.
The biggest thing is don't hit to Amrik and don't hit to Aanik's backhand.
my
Just
God.
dink to Aanik's forehand. That's the only shot you
No,
got.
but it was impossible because your backhand is as good as like a lefty forehand for the most part.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to hit to your backhand, which was almost nearly impossible. You'd run around it, and then if I tried to hit that sliver, I'd miss. And then hitting it, I guess cross court to you was still, I don't know, not good enough because you have a sneaky down the line, and you got Chris down the line so many times. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm hitting in the center.
And sometimes I didn't even feel like I was cheating that much. There were a few times I was. But
And then if I'm hitting in the center, Amr's going to take it, and he drove it straight to you. And as soon as he drove it to you, I was like, oh, we're done.
yeah. It did not feel good. That's all I got to say.
All right.
But that's what I'm saying. They're like, it's probability, right? So like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just know you don't have a probability to hit that because you
I
beat
hit
us
it a few
two.
times.
You beat us 2 or 3 times, but I was like, that's out of like 60 balls.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day. Like you can
Yeah.
beat me 3 out of 60 all you want.
Right. And
Yeah.
even if you hit like a drive and I poach over and I take it,
Yeah.
my hands aren't good enough to like drop it in the kitchen well enough. And then even if I speed it up, I was like, oh man, if I speed up this, we're gonna lose eventually because this is your
You're
game.
not giving them a hands
because
battle.
No, I wasn't
Yeah.
getting a hands battle. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I'm just quick enough just to like hang for like maybe 2. But in the long run, 90% I'm losing those. So I was like, okay, I need to do something now when I have the chance. And of course, I go for it, and then execution is poor, so I'm gonna miss.
So what do you think you guys need to work on at this point? I already know what, if anyone watched Chicago, what they probably think it is. But I'm just curious what you guys think it is, or what you feel like will kind of take you up to that next tier in pro.
Well, come on. Everyone knows from YouTube and from articles, it's got to be my third shot drop.
all the armchair empires and refs out there, the coaches.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Third shot drop could be
realistically,
improved.
I would say is just my patience, because I rely so heavily on my fast hands, because I think I probably have one of the best hands out there, where I'm like, I know I could probably beat most people in hand battles, where I pull the trigger too early. And against like good players, this is where, again, I know I set them up for failure against J-Dub, because there are certain times where I'm like, I could hit this ball against a lower level player. I'm probably jamming them and they're going to pop it up, and then Aanik puts it away.
Finish it.
But I'm hitting it too early, where I'm not hitting enough offense that J-Dub's countering that.
Yeah.
And then now I'm putting Aanik in a bad spot.
Flick.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's just, can I be patient enough and trust my partner enough to be like, okay, I got to wait till my right ball. I don't need to pull it on a 5th shot, 7th shot, whatever it is.
Or Aanik could just get better.
Yeah, Aanik, come on, man. Just
Much quicker reflexes.
Just play better.
Yeah.
just know when J-Dub's going to speed and then hit it at him, man. Come on.
Just have a crystal ball, read in the future. We'll be okay. Just be ready for it. Just like I told you, we have no problems.
Okay. So right now, you're a teacher, and you're just working at Lifetime, right?
I work at U.S. Bank.
Oh, U.S. Bank. Okay. Are you still doing Lifetime stuff or no?
Yep, I work for Lifetime as well.
Okay,
just
so
on
you're
the
doing
side.
both. Okay, so at this point, for either of you, would the goal be to do pickleball full time, or do you not want it to be full time? Because I've chatted with a couple pros, and they're perfectly content not doing it full time. Like, they enjoy their job. They're like, I like playing pro, but I don't want it to be my job. How do you guys feel about it?
I mean, so I can start. I go into being a high school teacher because I enjoy teaching, right? Like most teachers don't go into the profession for whatever the benefits, like.
Right. Yeah.
So I enjoy teaching enough where
Thankless job.
I would probably continue doing that unless there's something major that happens in my teaching career.
Yeah.
So I'm like, unless I really dislike it for whatever reason, there's a large life change, I don't see that.
Yeah.
But, if there's an opportunity that presents itself where, like, hey, you're the next Ben Johns, you're the next face of pickleball. Sure.
So, but would it have to be that good for you to do it? Let's say you broke into like the top 20 pros, like maybe you've podiumed a couple events
And a couple sponsors.
But
Yeah.
but again, though, like, do I then dislike my teaching enough to give that up?
So you'll have to dislike teaching to do
That's like, for me, I have to dislike teaching, and I have to have enough opportunities in pickleball where, like, I don't personally see it happening anytime soon, but maybe, I don't know, like, I'm up for that idea.
Let's say hypothetically I came to you and I said, I will give you $150,000 a year to just play pickleball. Do you still just want to teach?
What are the
Again,
what are
like
the stipulations?
You
What
just
if he
play
gets
pro.
what if
No,
he gets
you-
injured?
That's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah, I mean,
get to
Because
come
I think
back.
the
I get to come
biggest
back.
thing is like the risk that you go into the
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of stability with teaching. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. I mean, so again,
know?
like the money part, like, you can't put a figure on it because
Sure.
with pickleball, like, theoretically, Rick, the owner here at Mega, has offered me a position where I could probably make close to that if I wanted to,
Sure.
So like there's enough opportunities within pickleball where, like, I can make triple, quadruple, 5 times as much salary as I would as a teacher.
Yeah.
But again, that's not my main goal. Like,
Sure,
the only
sure.
reason when I'd say I'd switch over to pickleball professionally is it's more of, hey, this is my brand name. Like,
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
a pickleball player first,
Yep.
then a teacher, then a coach,
I
then
see.
whatever all the other things are, right?
Right.
Sure.
If it ever gets to that, maybe.
Sure. How about you?
I don't think I would ever go fully committed over to the pickleball world.
Really?
No matter. I mean, it might change if I get if
Life-changing money.
If
150K?
like Amrik said, if you make it to the upper echelon of the pros and
Yeah.
you're cranking out private lessons that are like $200 an hour or whatever like that, like they make off those, and you're winning, you're triple crowning and stuff like that, then I would consider it.
Okay, so
I think.
now why is that? Like, do you just enjoy the jobs you have, or?
I think it's just that I enjoy the life that I have right now with pickleball, with pickleball in my life where it is as it sits
Sure.
right now.
Yeah.
Because, and I think I've told a lot of people in Minnesota this, but, and this is probably more true for you than me, but tennis for me was just super competitive, and it was like, day in, day out. You would go practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You'd go to all these different groups. You'd have different trainers that you'd hit with, private lessons. You'd go, and then every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'd go down to Lakeville.
Tournaments.
You'd go down to Gustavus. You'd go up to Fargo, North Dakota. You'd go every week, and every weekend there's a level 5. Oh, there's a level 4. Are you playing in it? No, you're not playing in it. Oh, you're gonna go down in the rankings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like every week it would just be something or another, and I'm kind of trying to make pickleball not be that, because I just don't want to essentially burn out of pickleball like I somewhat did with tennis, because after playing club in college, I played some USTA leagues, and it was fun, and those were fun because you'd play like once a week, but it would just be a lot of still practicing commitments, and I still want to keep pickleball on the side just to have some fun and to be social with it.
Sure.
Sure. So but it's tough because I also want to be super good and super competitive. So it's a very fine line. So if I got really good, I would consider maybe doing like part-time work or something like along those lines, and then going over to pickleball. But I don't think I would quit cold turkey.
Well, you guys are much more committed to that than I was, because when I started pickleball, I said the same thing. I was like, this is a great hobby for me. I really enjoy this. It will only be a hobby. And I said, I will never mix video production with pickleball. And then about 2 months later, I started a YouTube channel, and now here we are. And now I'm like 3,000% in on pickleball. So you guys are much better about sticking to that goal than I am.
But here's the thing: you're coming in from like the growth of the sport is gonna just skyrocket. So for you, just as like a business standpoint, that makes sense. Like for us, like we're not in it like business wise, right? Like if I was in the business world,
but I definitely think if I wasn't doing video production, I feel like I would go all in on wanting to just play full time. But I also don't have the same, background with tennis where like I played tennis growing up, but I didn't play high level or anything. I just played a lot growing up, where you guys, I guess, have experienced, I guess, what that burnout would feel like in tennis, where I haven't. So I guess you guys kind of already know what that could potentially be, and I just don't.
For those of you that are wondering, Chris is also 3.5 at best in tennis. I played him.
come on, you don't have to throw him under the bus like that. You don't have to.
Here's the thing about Will that you guys don't know. Will throws me under the bus any chance he gets.
That's how you know he's a real friend.
All of MLP, him and Zane, every pro I met, like even DJ would come to me and be like, "You're 3.5, Chris," and I'm like, I can't escape. Even all the pros know me. Zane introduced me to his trainer that you guys know, Leslie. He's like, "Chris is a 3.5," and I was like, "Zane, give me a break." I was like, "Come on, man."
Yes,
like I couldn't catch a break on it, but no, I think that's kind of cool, and it'll be cool to see if it stays that way. Maybe a year from now we'll have you guys back on the pod, and you guys will be winning everything.
We'll see.
And,
Fully committed, traveling from APP to PPA.
Here's a good question for you guys. What's, I guess, next year look like for tournaments?
I am having a kid in about like 3 weeks. So
hey, congrats.
that is going to be,
congrats.
Thank you. It's going to be a bit life-changing. So a little mini break, but luckily there's not a lot of tournaments over Christmas and New Year's. So
sure.
Little mini break, but probably starting back up either end of January, February, and then kind of just winging it for now.
You'll get to kick it off with the Minnesota PPA.
That's what I was going to say. Possibly Minnesota PPA with this guy, assuming I don't have any kid issues at the time. But
sure.
I don't really have any like long-term plans. I just know that probably playing more, assuming that there's more recent success. Hopefully in 2 weeks when we do that minor league, we'll see how it goes. So
How about you?
I think the bigger question is, when is he going to start his kid in the pickleball world?
Oh, true. You got to get a paddle in their hand early.
Yeah. Hey, the Dillard. I'm going to get Diller out there.
You need a Diller sponsorship.
If they were still around as a company that were in pickleball, I would.
Oh, wait. Okay, you were telling us before the pod. What was the story about the Pro Kennex?
What do you mean?
The chipping or something?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. So in Chicago, so I've played, I don't know how many tournaments, right? But I've only played 3 pro events. I've had one paddle this entire time.
Yeah.
And I've used that paddle every tournament, every rec play, every whatever. The Diller's my only backup.
Yeah.
Right? For that tournament, I was just like, maybe I should bring just a second paddle just in case like the handle snaps, because I've had one Pro Kennex where the handle just broke off clean on an overhead, right?
Yeah.
So one of the guys here who was just like, hey, I'm not using this Pro Kennex. Go ahead, take this one. I was like, I've used it once. So I put it in my backpack, brought it with. Get to the tournament, day 1, first match against Adam Stone and Will
It was the
Sobek.
first match, wasn't it?
Yep. And they're doing a paddle check, and I always just like to joke around with the ref. I'm like, oh yeah, my paddle's illegal, blah blah blah. I put some tar on it or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Just joking around. So he rubs it, blah blah blah. He checks all 3 people's paddles. I'm the last one he's checking. He does an extra thing, and I was like, what is he looking at? And then he's like, you got another paddle? I was like, I mean, yeah, like, why? What's up? And he goes, there's a little chip here in this corner. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, that's not regulation. I was like, what does that mean? And he goes, yeah, you can't use this. And I was like, okay.
Was that your primary one or the backup?
That's my main one, and it's just from hitting the ground or
It was chipped in the corner?
It was chipped in the teeny corner. So then I before I ran to go grab my paddle, I was like, why can I not use it? He goes, well, technically our rules are, if there's any chips, if the ball hits there, and even though you don't intend it, the ball could change trajectory, in which case it could injure your partner or your opponents or something. And I was like, I've never heard this rule before.
Okay.
I would really like to ask some other refs about that.
Exactly.
Take
right.
it as a compliment. He thought you could hit that little.
That's what I'm saying. And that's right where the Pro Kennex edge guard is too. So I was like, look, if I hit that, the edge guard is going to make it go anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, you need to switch the paddle. So and that was after we'd warmed up. And then I was like, well, am I going to get another warm? He goes, probably not. So he's like, go ahead. So I had to go run out to get my paddle because you can bring the stuff onto the court.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That paddle wasn't even out of the wrapper. So I had to rip off the wrapper.
Wait, so it didn't even have an overgrip on it?
No, I had to rip off the
That's why you
plastic
took
wrapper.
so long.
I put on the overgrip on there real quick,
Oh.
and he's like, yeah, you got 5 minutes to do an equipment change or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go quick. Wrapped it, brought it out there. I'd never played with that paddle before on that first match.
Was it the exact same one you used though?
It's the same Pro Kennex, but
Okay.
I don't know if the specs are the same. I don't know if it weighs the same. I don't know if it.
So
whatever.
how
It was green, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the same green one.
Oh, same green.
Yeah.
I
so
thought yours
how
blue.
was it?
So it was more brand new, where it had more pop.
Is
So
it the Pro Flight or which Pro
Pro
Kennex?
Speed?
Pro Speed.
Pro
yeah.
Speed 2. So I got out there and I was like, sir, I've never played with this. I was like, can I please warm? He's like, all right, you got a minute left in your equipment change, so sure. So I really quickly for 2 seconds dinked with him, did a couple of drives, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, if we lose this match because of this stupid chip, I was like, I'm gonna be so mad.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because I have so many questions now. I'm just thinking some of my edge guards on my paddles, they do not look good. Right where you probably was, essentially chipped on yours.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Again,
So many
I have
questions.
no idea, because the funny thing was, so we ended up winning that match, and made it to that semis, making all that splash. The ref initially didn't know who I was or who he was, but at the end of the tournament, or close to the end of the tournament, he came back and he goes, "Hey man, I just want to check in, hopefully that the other paddle worked out." And I was like, "Yeah, it's doing fine." He goes, and he restated that rule to me, and I was like, "Yeah," I was like, I just haven't heard that before. I was like, I've done other pro tournaments. I was like, I've played multiple matches, and he's like,
They've checked my paddle before. Never had an issue.
yeah. So I was like, I don't
Would
want
have
to
been interesting to have each match if you pulled out the other one and just see if they agreed.
So I thought about doing that, but
Yeah.
then I was like, no, I'm used to playing with this now that I just didn't want to switch out.
I
But he was just trying to enforce it. And I was like, I just think it's a very low probability that I hit this spot and it deflects and injures someone. But
Yeah, man, I don't know. There's a lot of little deformities that I feel like, it's probably a little easier to get away with it at the amateur level or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
maybe the ref doesn't check the paddle as closely or something. But either way, that's still really interesting. That could have messed everything up.
That's what I was saying. I was like, if we would have lost because of that, I would have been really mad at myself.
And so you use a Babolat paddle. Both of you are stubborn about paddles.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you like a wood paddle should tell everyone what they need to know about you. And,
Well, so I was thinking about that. You used to use a wood paddle.
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to use a target paddle.
I know. I remember.
We should
Yeah.
play with those
Play
next
with
time we
them.
play.
You should have played us with
Because he used to
Like
have
a
the Z5, right?
Oh,
it the
I
Z5?
don't. It was like it was $11.99 from Target.
Okay, it wasn't.
No,
a
it wasn't
Z5
that
then.
Z5 then.
the Monarch.
Yeah.
It's probably the
It was
I don't remember
Monarch.
what it
some
was, but,
very
yeah.
really low end kind of paddle that I pulled
There's
up,
either
pulled off the
Monarch or
shelves.
the
You still
Franklin
have it?
Activator.
I do. I have
Oh.
2 of them.
Oh yeah, we definitely should have had you guys play with those.
It's the Monarch or the Franklin Activator. I feel like it has to be one of those.
Yeah, I feel like that Franklin is like probably the best guess. That's crazy. Okay, so I mean, you've been on that Babolat forever, and it blows my mind that you still use it. I mean, they're not bad paddles. It's not like it's some piece of
They
junk.
haven't
or
reached out to
something.
you to sponsor you or something?
They don't do any sponsorships.
Oh. Well,
Oh,
that's
a
weak.
bummer. So okay, so why? I mean, I know you've hit other paddles. You were even telling me about the Yola.
Yeah.
Why do you like the Babolat so much?
I just feel that it's mainly around surrounding the control.
Okay.
Like control, like the actual touch and the feel I get from the paddle, and like feeling the ball hit it and just being able to control the ball off of it. Because you're always amazed at how much of a big carve I can take out of that
He
ball.
takes such a huge cut, and I don't know how it goes in. I was like, dude, if I did that with my Pro Kennex, that thing's hitting
Well,
that back
because I was
tarp.
hitting with the Yola the other day, and I took a big carve, and it just popped up.
Yeah.
And then they just hit down on it. I'm like, whoa, you really can't like do much with these other ones. Like I just took a minute to like actually feel out. Like you really have to just get more compactness.
Your technique
But
is
like
refined
it's
with
just
the
a little
Babo.
flawed with the other ones. And I'm just so used to I don't know. Maybe it's my tennis background with just making
Wait.
like actual bigger swings
I
or
see.
something.
But wait, in tennis, what racket did you play with? You play with a Babo as well?
No, I played with a Babolat and a Prince.
Oh, dang, Prince. Mm-hmm. Wait, which Babolat did you play with? What was your last tennis racket? I'm just curious.
I played with a Prince. I played with a Babolat when I was younger.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, maybe you're just a Babolat fanboy. And there's nothing you can do about it. That was my next guess.
That's usually how it goes if they come from tennis. Like, wow, this is what I played with in tennis. So
When I like, my strength is those drives, right? So I'm like,
Right.
any of these, if I hit like the fat ones, don't do anything.
Yeah.
So the
Right.
only ones that like I didn't mind was gearbox.
Okay.
Of course.
But then with the,
yeah.
but because it was similar to
Yeah,
a
thinner.
wood,
Yep.
Yeah.
but I was like, it's the surface was too slick. Where like my wood paddle, just because the ball had ingrained it, like I could control more compared to a gearbox. But then the Pro Kennex, it had the same exact thing, except it was way like softer because of that like sand stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like I could reset like unreal.
I wonder
like,
how you'd feel about the current gearboxes, like the CX14, because that thing's a giant pillow. Not that you need a pillow. You don't need to be slowed down.
That's a very good question. Maybe I'll be trying that in the next week or so.
Oh, well, I do like the Pro Kennex. At least I've only played with the Pro Flight. I messed with it at the PPA in Peachtree, and I was surprised at how much I really liked it. It feels solid and firm, and there's a lot of power and pop, but I still feel you have enough control to reset it. The feel is very different. I don't think anything else
Also-
feels like it.
Just knowing what I know about paddles, I wonder if you just really like paddles that are headlight, because the gearbox is all very headlight, and Pro Kennex is like the lightest, the most headlight.
When I get asked, I'm like, how do you like your balance? I was like, headlight. Only
Yeah.
because hand speed. Because
Hand
again,
speed. No wonder your
I'm
hands
the-
are
I'm
so
the-
fast.
yeah,
I'm the same exact way.
Do either of you
Yeah.
lead tape much?
mine's just stock.
Yep.
You don't-
mine's
you
just
don't lead tape either?
Nope, mine's just regular tape.
Oh, all right.
How heavy is yours?
7.4.
Okay.
7.5.
See, and
Yeah.
here's the,
feather.
Yeah.
this is the crazy thing is, think how hard he hits the ball, and the thing's an absolute. I don't know how you don't deal with, like, how you don't throw your arm out. I'm telling you guys.
Well, so in tennis too, the shot that I was known for was my just forehand ground stroke, because I probably hit it almost just as hard.
Which tennis racket did you play with?
The Wilson. So
I knew it.
The
You played with the
Wilson.
Pro Staff?
No.
blade?
So the Federer one, I forget what because they all just rebranded to a different
Right.
name. But it was the last one that I remember the name was just the Wilson 6-1.
Oh yeah, the 6-1. Oh, so 6-1 was it 90 square inches? The smaller head size. I'm sure.
No, the
95?
the middle, yeah,
95.
Yeah, Wilson
Knew it.
6-195.
Knew it as he guesses like 4 different times.
No, he said Wilson 6-1. That's a Pro Staff, and it's also 12 points. It's like 12 points or 11 points headlight.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what because that's what I play with.
because my like long limbs, like I love just like whipping it. So if it's like headlight, I can get all that like torque that comes.
I cannot imagine if you just went up like 8.2 or something. I don't feel like you'd sacrifice that much hand speed. I don't know. Maybe you would, but
you'd be surprised because again, like most people here, like I can hand battle anyone.
Yeah.
But like when I get teeny bit like either thicker, so I tried the carbon as a 14 millimeter.
Yeah.
So I tried that one. I was like, it's not that much thicker, but like I'd just be like slightly late on like my timings where like
Yeah.
I can't hit down where it's going more straight. I'm like, man, I can't believe that little thickness can make that big of a difference.
Have you tried the Selkirk Power Air?
I have. So
And yay, nay?
the inside of it just feels hollow.
Yeah.
Where it just like it
sound.
sounds terrible.
Yes,
So
the
I'm just
sound.
like I can't play with that just because it doesn't come off right.
No.
So I
did
don't
you
know.
hit with it?
No, I'm very
He's a dabble
I'm
at
very
loyalist.
stubborn.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn.
not even gonna try.
I want
I
to know
hit-
who's more stubborn
I
now.
the other day I hit with the Eula
Yeah.
and I played 1 point, and after I felt that pop up, I had to trade it out.
See,
I
that
traded
doesn't
that.
seem fair. I
I
think you
couldn't do
got to
it.
give it a couple
See,
more.
do it.
I used to be that way because when I first started from that wood, I tried paddles for like a day or a half a day, but then now I do it like for like multiple days. So I'm like I got to give it a fair shot. So
What,
like
what did you end up thinking about the icon?
Didn't mind it, but it was similar to like a gearbox where it just doesn't have any touch. Where like it would just like pop off the paddle because I'm like I have good hands where like I don't care how hard you hit it, I can reset with
Yeah.
pretty much any paddle.
Yeah.
Where like maybe people need those thicker paddles to help them reset.
Yep, that's
Right.
me.
And like with that icon, I could reset, but it was just a little too high where I could still play with that.
Yeah.
It would take me like a couple weeks or
To
maybe a couple
adjust.
months to adjust. Where I'm like, I don't have right now. If it's not like a sponsored deal, I'm not gonna go out of my way
Right.
to like. make
Yeah,
my game.
yeah. That makes sense.
I think if ProKennex made more like elongated, just
Oh,
you know,
I would love that.
I would consider
love it.
switching because I really did enjoy playing with. I'm surprised at how much I liked the ProKennex.
Yeah.
Like
Do you want a longer handle or just longer face, or what do you want?
Longer handle, just
Longer
for that
handle.
longer reach and longer whip.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
if
Oh,
you
yeah,
if
that'd
you
be-
think that ProKennex drive is harder, I was like, give me a little bit more handle. See how hard it
I
gets.
think
keep it out of his hands. I don't want to see it.
I'm pretty sure the new Pro Spin, which I think Rick is getting in the shop, I think it is a longer handle. So that might be interesting. I think it might be a softer paddle though. So I'll be curious to see what you end up thinking
Heard
about
it was
that.
garbage.
Definitely not garbage. I liked it.
You liked it?
I liked it more than the Pro Flight. The
Well-
Pro Flight feels very hard.
Yeah.
When you hit the Pro Spin, feels a little softer, which is
Well, you're
just more
3.5
like-
at best, so I mean, what do you know?
We're trying.
And the bus comes around again.
Dude, I'm telling you, this joke doesn't die. I here's what I found. My role in pickleball is just to be a verbal punching bag. Like, you guys haven't experienced it here, but if anyone outside of the Minnesota friend group, I'm a verbal punching bag.
I think that just people just love you though.
The whole time I was with Zane, just abused verbally.
I did feel sorry for you when we went to see James Ignatowicz. I was like, oh,
Oh my gosh, yeah, James Ignatowicz didn't let me. I
let
didn't
you
get a break.
breathe.
Yeah. But I don't know. What we decided was we were also talking to one of our other content creator friends, and he's like, dude, I swear I'm never mean to anyone. But he's like, you're so easy to make fun of. he's like, it's because you take it so well. He's like, no one takes getting made fun of this well. And I was like, well, I don't know. You
but
got to
you-
be able to laugh at yourself a little bit.
no, but Chris Clapback, you don't see him like when the cameras are off or things aren't recording. The clapbacks are hard.
He's got a reputation on
I can't hit the ball
cameras.
hard, but verbally, bang.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, definitely. But
Also
yeah, go-
talking about when I thought I could go pro. Random side note.
Yeah.
You brought
Yeah,
up Ignatowicz. So I'm at Cincy, and we were just playing like a rec match or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, saw your results in Chicago, blah, blah. I was like, oh, yeah, thanks, blah, blah. And he's like, he did the same thing that you did. First point of the game that we were rec playing, purposely sat me a sitter in the middle of the court. He goes, I just want to see your drive. And then I just smoked it at him. And I don't think he got it back. And then, like, the first thing he goes, yeah, you might have the hardest drive on the tour. And I was like, I was like, if Ignatowicz is saying that, I might actually have the
yeah,
hardest
because
one.
he hits hard.
He hits
That's what I'm
hard.
saying.
If James is saying that, that's for sure. And Grant was saying that. You're like James was saying that, and I'm sure a few other people like you probably asked.
So
like,
going back
saying
to
that.
I was like, oh, maybe I have made it if Ignatowicz is saying
I
that.
think it's
Yeah.
not only that it's hard, it's just so low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, so that's it. So I get lucky, right, with those net courts because I'm aiming there,
it's
right? Because
so
I'm
low.
trying to keep it so low that either sometimes I'm making all of them or I'm making none of them.
No,
So that's where, again, people get that
I was going to say, I'd be
streakiness.
curious to see what your take is, and I guess you kind of answered it, as I feel like you do have a really hard-hitting drive, but sometimes the consistency is
Yep.
it can vary pretty
Yep.
heavily,
Yeah.
where it's like,
not against us.
But see, and that's the thing is that like there is variations of it, but it's also, I don't know, people take certain like matches out of context where it's like, okay, well, in this match you're not doing this, but maybe that's not the play, right? If I do that play, that doesn't set us up to win, right? And going to like the J-Dub thing, sure, could I have dropped it? Should I have like gone a little less than that? Absolutely. But they're gonna eat us alive because that's their game.
Right.
You
He's
know?
either like lose now or win now or lose later
Correct.
or something like
and
that.
that's where I'm like, I'm trusting in myself that, look, if I can make these slight minor adjustments, I can get those drives back in play.
Right.
And if I feel like I'm smart enough where I know that, hey, I have missed this many where it's no longer just slight adjustments, but you're just off today. So where, okay, we got to go to game plan B.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
And in most of those recorded matches, I'm like, I know I can make this shot.
Yeah.
It's just not currently going in.
right.
yeah.
And I've done enough match analysis on myself where I know like essentially a plus minus of am I getting enough free points compared to how many free points I'm losing or giving away.
Yeah.
And pretty much most matches I'm in the green.
I see.
So it was really funny watching the stream. I finally did get to see, the armchair coaches at home because people were definitely they gave it to you a few times. They're like, dude, this guy's missed it. Like, who knows how many times? When's he just gonna drop the ball?
Pretty sure the commentator said something, and then you're like, "Yeah, I know that's the third time." You were talking to the commentator.
Well,
Wait, like during the match?
The commentators are right
talking to him.
behind us.
Yeah.
And this is where, again, like, kind of a disadvantage to DJ and Thomas, but like, they say stuff, but it's like semi-loudish.
See, I've wondered because the few tournaments I've been to now, I'm like, you know what? I'm a little closer to them, but I'm like, you're also not being quiet.
Yep.
I feel you can totally hear this.
So on one of them, they're like, man, if I was Lohani and Donkena, I would do this. And I was like, hey, Aanik, I think we should do this. I was just like, and I was like, thank you, commentator. I was like, I don't know why you would say that out loud, but like we
while
literally,
I'm walking back to the baseline.
because again, like they're trying to be loud because they got to present it to the
Yeah, of course.
the
Yeah.
mic or whatever. But I was like, you're not quiet enough. So like on one of the times that Aanik was bringing up, he's like, man, that's the third time that Donkena's missed. I was like, I know it's the third time, but guess what? I've hit 4 others where he's crushed it.
Right.
So I was like,
Exactly.
it's a plus minus. I was like, I'm fine with missing those 3, but if I'm setting up 5 balls where he's pounding the next shot,
Then
worth
you're
it
going
for
to do
me.
it. So, yeah, because they don't see that all the time. It sounds like you're just really good at, I guess, risk management. And it almost sounds like there's like a book or something on, I think it's primarily for basketball, but it's how the underdogs win. And if you are not the favored team or you're the lesser team, you have to take risks because if you play a consistent game or how the game, quote unquote, should be played, against a better team, like 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose because obviously you're the underdog. So in order to, win, you have to take those risks. And then of course the people who are, armchair coaches or whatnot, they're saying these things. This is not how the game should be played, quote unquote. But you have to take the risk management into account, especially if you are, quote unquote, like I said, the weaker team, right? And I guess that's what pickleball is all about sometimes, especially if you're playing, better players. Obviously, when you and I played, Chris, I guess I was trying to take risks.
Yeah,
to go in there.
I mean, you have to.
It worked a few times, but I was like, no, this is not
You had
sustainable.
some crazy shots.
There were some
of
good
them,
hit
there's
behind him. Those were some good ones.
Yeah, but
Like,
you guys had crazier shots. Oh, this is good. We're in there. And
it's like when you lobbed, and I was like, "This is not the guy to lob."
No,
This is absolutely
it
not
was
the guy
not.
to
That's not a
lob.
crazy shot. You
Test
should-
it like
yeah.
once or twice. Like, yeah, no, this is not it.
When Zane jokes about being like 155 pounds when he's soaking wet and like he can still hit the ball, like it's like the same thing for Amrik, but he hits way harder. Like, and that ball is just a rocket. Like, oh, gosh, I don't know.
I'll give one of my pickleball secrets away. In tennis, when I
Yes.
played doubles.
That's not pickleball. That's tennis.
I know. I'm
It's
gonna
getting
give
there. It's getting there. Give him some time.
in tennis, when I played doubles, we'd have 2 people, right? Anytime their lob gets thrown up, for all 4 years of my collegiate career, the call was yours, pointing to me. I hit every single red pretty much for us. So like that is my strong suit. So I always laugh when people lob me. I'm like, great, give me the thing that I've worked on for 100 million hours.
This is like the shot I hit the most.
And I was like, this is my best shot. So when you were lobbing me, I was like, yeah, keep going, Will. Love it.
You're like, do it again.
I only did it twice, and then maybe.
Well, then everything else was probably just a block.
Yeah, everything else was a block. No, the other times when I'm not trying to lob, you hit it so hard. I'm trying to reset, and my paddle's open, but you hit it so hard it turns into a lob, and I'm just like, crap.
Yeah, I hope, people listening or, whoever finds this later in the future, it really is amazing watching pickleball on a screen and everything looks so easy. Like today I got my first comment. You know how, so normally what happens to me, mostly because of his joke, the 3.5 at best thing, everyone always watches my videos and they're like, Chris, you're way better than a 3.5. And you never see that on pickleball videos. I'm sure you guys have seen the comments where everyone's like, 5-0 gameplay, this is 4-0 for sure. I finally got a comment on my 4-0 singles match against the Denim Demon. This guy goes, this is 4-0? He's like, I thought I was 4-0. I must be really close to 5-0 if this is 4-0.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I've made it. I finally got one of those those hate comments. But it is crazy. I mean, some of the pros I've watched, serve specifically is one of the easiest things to point out. You watch enough of these guys and you're like, yeah, they're really not. Why don't they hit it harder? Like, it seems like you'd get more points. And then you watch it in person. I think it's just how pickleball's filmed. It just doesn't lend itself to show you how hard this really is.
100%.
For sure. And also just the percentages and seeing like how much court you can or cannot cover. I think the most deceptive thing, especially when you watch it on stream, is the size of that kitchen. Because at the angle you see, you feel like when they're dinking it, you could just reach in there and just volley everything is above the net. But that's not necessarily the case because they're dinking it pretty low or they're dinking it deep and you can't. But it just, from that angle that you're usually watching it, it just looks like, why don't they just crush this thing? But I mean, also, I also realize how bad my dinks are sometimes where I'm like, oh, this is a good one. And then
it just sits up a bit.
It sits up a bit too much. And otherwise just like,
the two tattoos you got?
Yeah, the two tattoos right at my right shoulder. I was like, oh my gosh. What the heck? And that's what it feels like. And I'm just like, man, I can't be this bad. Am I? I was like, yep.
See, at the pro level too, though, like going back to that like risk reward thing, like some of those dinks maybe could be attackable, but they're so low that they choose not to because they know if they do, the counter is going to be way harder.
Right, exactly. I think everybody's so good at countering.
And that's why some of the top pros, I see them dink, but they purposely leave the dink up just slightly
because they
want
hoping to counter.
Yep. They're baiting it.
Someone, I can't remember if it was another pro or if it was just someone, maybe one of our friends. I don't know. Someone was talking about Riley. They felt like Riley did that a lot. Where it's like he's giving you a bait one, and he wants you to like speed it up.
You see, that's what I was doing. I was trying to lobby you to bait you so I could take it.
You're trying to counter the overhead.
I was trying to counter the overhead. That's the next level. You don't know about that, okay?
You're analyzing the game, but
completely random that I thought about pickleball not being great on TV.
Yeah.
So like armchair QB. So. In that DJ match and Thomas match, we beat them the first game like 11-6, 11-5 or something like that. I don't remember what it was.
I know what you're going to bring up.
So in that, right, people that are out on the sidelines think that they've got like great ideas to like figure out how to counter that, right?
Yeah.
Now, no one knows us, so we're just kind of out there coaching ourselves. But there's like multiple people out there like telling Thomas, telling DJ, telling whatever to like do this, do that, do whatever, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I remember hearing, because again, people aren't like quiet. They don't realize like how like quiet you have to be for your opponents not to hear. Someone goes, all right, well, every time you're driving to this Donkena guy, he just keeps crushing. He goes, drive everything to Lohani and see what happens. So I told Aanik, because I heard it, I was like, hey, everything's going to come to you. I was like, just do your thing with your backhand, man. I was like, I'll crash. And it looks like Aanik's balls aren't hit as hard as mine on camera.
Right.
I will tell you this, they're coming pretty close, but the better thing with his is his top spin.
The top spin
dips, and he kept crushing it down every single time out of a sitter forehand. I was like, good luck with that.
Yeah, no, trust me. I experienced it firsthand. I was trying to poach that backhand of yours, and I was like, no way.
Do you feel like do you like your backhand more than your forehand?
Clearly, did you not? What? Did we just not play 4 games against him?
No, I mean, I know how good it is, but I was curious if he actually likes it more. Like if he would rather take his backhand.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason I didn't hit it more to him, to his forehand, because he was going to hit the backhand. I was like, okay, we're going to deal with Aanik's backhand or Amrik's forehand.
Yeah.
If I hit it to his forehand, if you were down the line, he was gonna get you down like which he did. And I was like, okay, that's never happening again.
Yeah.
I need the highest probability that I touched the ball. So that's why I hit it over to Amrik. But then he would crush it. And then, but if he and I knew he was going to try to hit it to you because you were weak. So I tried to put my backhand there. And that's one of the few times I got him cross back.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is not happening because sometimes I had to reach. And then when I'd reach, the paddle would go up. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah, and then he just
it's
gonna-
open season for one of them.
Yeah.
And it was done.
Yep.
Yep.
That's just how.
Like going back to like on camera, it just looks like his drives aren't as hard, but like they're just
No,
as
they're
hard.
hard.
Like
They're
pickleball,
No, his
just
backhand
doesn't-
is really good.
No.
the pickleball video just don't do enough justice. Where,
Right.
like if you're watching from home, it's like it's not even close.
Right,
to
you
the same
need a
thing.
side angle or angle like
Yeah.
literally like just like 45 degrees like over the kitchen line to see how much that it dips down. You have that hybrid
Yeah.
What
dink
I have
drive
found so
third shot
far
thing.
is that the PPA seems to do with that like this camera everyone loves to hate for some reason.
I
don't
love
have-
that angle.
I don't have a problem with it. It's
top-
like the crane one that
Yeah.
moves.
Yep.
I personally, when I watch the recaps from the PPA, like the Riley Newman versus Ben Johns, I feel like I'm like that ball is flying, and I don't ever feel like that. Not never, but I don't feel like that for most other matches. And I really feel like you can see the speed from that camera.
No,
Specifically.
that is the best angle in my opinion. I don't know if you guys feel that, but do you guys feel that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So all you guys out there who are like crapping on that camera angle,
The
like
vertical
you're
one I think
garbage.
is the worst.
Yeah.
The vertical one I think is the worst because at least the side one where you can see the kitchen.
You mean the vertical, like where you see the whole court?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the whole court, like the length way.
Yeah.
At least
It's
the
like
side.
it's like best for viewing, I think, in terms of
Yeah.
you can see everything.
But you can't tell what's actually
What's
happening.
actually
in the
Yeah,
game.
no,
because the kitchen one you could at least see the dinking how it happens, but it's not great with like speed ups.
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. With
Yeah.
the vertical one, it's only good for like the serve and then drive. As soon as people get to the kitchen, you need to zoom in
Yeah.
or something because it is hot garbage, that view.
I know they've started implementing a kitchen cam, but I think that's just for fun, isn't it? Like
I
on
mean, on the net?
on
Oh, yeah,
just
like
net.
tennis? Like
but
tennis?
that's just like
that's probably
that's
just for fun. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna.
I mean,
stick
that's-
with
Like,
that.
That's
I've
what
never
I've
seen
but,
that. Where's that?
It's I think it's just for fun that they've started to
I mean,
do
that's
that.
kind of cool.
But it doesn't really give like the gameplay and what it's for. and
No, it'd
stuff.
be fun
But-
to see you peg people and tattoo
Yeah, you
people.
can
I think that would
see
be
it up
cool.
close.
Yeah, and slow mo that. Like that'd be amazing.
So I guess we'll kind of wrap up here. But obviously, we've got minor league coming up. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'll see you guys at minor league. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be fun. I mean, how are you guys feeling for that? Like, are you excited to play like the team event? Because you guys haven't been. Neither of you been to an MLP, right?
Nope.
I'm just telling you right now. I don't know how it'll be for minor league. I'm sure it'll be different.
But Major League Pickleball is fire.
no, it is like hands down the best event in my opinion. It makes the other tournaments. It puts them to complete shame in terms of the energy
Right.
that
Yeah.
is brought there. Like it's
Yeah.
unreal. Like best time I've had watching pickleball
because
ever.
of the team.
The team.
Well,
camaraderie and aspect
You
to
see,
it.
hear people
Yeah.
cheering. They get amped up, like they're running on the court
Oh,
after
yep.
a good
Yeah,
point.
Yeah.
everybody's hooting and hollering.
There's
drunk,
a lot of chirping. It's
a lot of
that's
chirping.
actually very funny.
A lot of free alcohol.
Yeah.
yeah.
You may not know this, but I drank a bit when I was on the job. I was like, man, I hope I don't drop Chris's camera. You know?
Yeah, it's super fun. I don't, we'll see how minor league is in terms of audience and whatnot. But
Well, so when Leslie, our captain, came up this past
What's your team
weekend,
name? What's your team name?
Figure that out yet.
Oh, okay.
We're,
Yeah, we've barely figured out our uniforms.
yeah. So
I heard
it's under
Pickleball
wraps,
Studio
but-
will contribute $5 to have that be the team name. Only if you guys win.
If you lose, I had nothing to do with it.
Absolutely nothing to do with it. To rip that logo off.
Well, so when Leslie came this past weekend, just to kind of set one up, we did a mini like MLP style event. So it was us four,
Yeah.
and we got 4 people from Minnesota that I think are pretty good, and we ran essentially the same format that it would.
Yeah.
And you destroyed everyone.
No. Of all, well, I mean, yes. but- of all the events or times I've ever played pickleball, probably the most fun I've ever had.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
Did you go to
doing
a
it
Dream
that-
Breaker?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we did our rally scoring to 21.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did
So
Dream
much like
Breakers.
college tennis.
That's
or, like,
exactly.
I didn't play college
Yeah.
tennis, but like club tennis or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Actually,
like
okay, wait,
tennis
then-
in high school too. It's just that team event. Like it comes down to like that last final match, and you have your whole team on the sidelines
Yeah.
watching over the fence, and you're
Yep.
like, "Let's go!"
Well, I
And so it's
changed
just-
my mind because now what I really want to chat about here real quick is what you thought of rally scoring. Because, well, when people see this episode will have happened after our MLP discussion, so they will have heard our thoughts on rally scoring already. But I want to get your guys' take because a lot of people hate it, but I honestly think if people tried it how MLP does it, I don't think they'd hate it that much.
I personally think it's good for viewing. It
Okay.
is great for viewing,
Yes.
and it's good for high level pickleball because you can't necessarily take any points off.
Okay.
So going back to just my drives.
Yeah.
In my MLP thing, I was like, I can't go as big because if I just risk it, like it's not
another
like
point.
it's their point, right?
I
So
see.
like there's more analysis of risk versus reward. Be like, okay, at certain times, if we're up like 15-5, sure, I'll crank out a hard forehand. But like if it's 19-19, I should probably think about what my decision making.
Maybe I
Taking
should
some off
drop
of
this
that.
shot.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do a
That
fair
drop.
shot drop.
If pickleball switched, how would you feel?
I'd be fine with it. I again would it still just be like MLP 1 game to 21?
1 game to 21. At 20, you have to win side out, and when they get to 18 they're frozen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's just 1 game to 21, I'm not a fan of it just because it's too
Okay.
short.
Too short.
Okay.
Because 2 out of 3 to 11, it's much longer and
What-
it stops those.
So now what if it was 2 out of 3 to 21?
I probably would.
That'd be
Because
just longer.
I actually do think, in my head at least, that makes more sense. Like I don't think I feel like you'd have to do that. Do the 2 out of 3. There's no way you would do 1 game in the pro.
or best out of 5 up to 11 rally scoring, which would be kind of quick.
Oh.
But
See, I feel like 11 though, you could
too
get
short.
too hot.
Yeah.
And it just turns into like a quick
Quick
set.
thing.
Yeah.
you
All right.
know?
Like an
Yeah.
11-1.
With 21s, you could at least take time
Take
out,
time.
break.
Here's
Yeah,
what I also
think
thought was
that's true.
interesting, and it's because of the freezing, which people have very
Yeah,
they
they're
love it or hate
polarized.
it or think they're polarized. But most of the matches at MLP very close,
Yeah.
super close. Like a lot of them were coming down to the wire. There were a few that were got beat pretty handily, but that happens in side out scoring anyways. Like you pickle someone, what you guys did, to DJ and Thomas. So I don't know. I ended up really enjoying it, but how about you, Aanik? What do you think?
I liked it. I think it's innovative for the sport. It's just different, and that leads to more of the entertainment value.
Yeah.
I think it definitely leads to more of the closer matches, like you were saying. And then when you get someone, like in that kind of play that like let's say it's a Ben Johns versus maybe a lower level pro player, you're still going to be entertained because it's like, what if that person they can win not only on their serve.
Yeah.
Like if you get that kind of finals in a PPA event, it's in my opinion a little bit more on the duller side.
Yeah.
Just because there's not that every point matters.
Right. Well, I feel like it makes sense when every point matters. Like you don't get to slack off. That's
right.
part of being an athlete.
yeah.
Like you
Yep.
got to be on.
Yeah.
So
I think it
I don't
rewards
know.
good
Yep.
returners,
Yeah.
yeah,
which is something that
Yep.
I think a lot of pickleball players overlook, being a good returner
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it rewards them. So, and then once good returners start showing up, then the serves got to start being good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I was the last time we talked about rally scoring before I had really tried it. I was pretty like, if it switched, I would still play the game, obviously, but I don't know. I'd like it to stay. Now I'm at the point where if it switched, I don't think I'd care at all. I don't think I'd mind.
Burn them
think-
at the stake.
That's definitely what people are going to say. But here's the thing. Here's what I want people to do. 2 things. They need to go to an MLP event, and then I want them to play like at least 7 or 10 games, MLP rally scoring style, with people they enjoy playing with.
Yeah.
And then tell me if you really don't like it still. If
Yeah.
you don't,
Yeah.
that's fine. But I think if you haven't tried it,
Just they can't hate on it just because it's different.
What
Yeah.
I don't get is
Right.
what
Yeah.
is the animosity towards rally scoring?
oh, there's so many things. I mean, I can't
I think
even.
it's just because it's not traditional.
But-
Traditional.
Well,
that's
pe-
what I'm saying.
traditional.
There is some of
pickleball.
that, but people think it changes the game too much. Where, gosh, it's been so long since I've seen some of these arguments. But one, it fundamentally changes how the game is scored. People don't like that there's no comeback, and I think people only
There's
think
a
that.
huge comeback mechanic, that freeze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the freeze. I think people, when they think rally scoring, they don't think of the freeze. So they're not thinking MLP. They're just thinking straight rally scoring, whoever gets to 21 or whatever first.
Yeah.
In which case, like, I get it, but I don't know. I really think people just need to try it.
I think the one thing about MLP that I dislike is I think they should put a little bit more thought into the Dream Breaker.
Yeah.
I just think that.
How so?
I just think that, and this is me just coming at it from a singles perspective, but I just think 4 points is just, and I just think it's not enough. Like, I know they want to include everyone, and that's how they, you know, jazz up and get the entertainment value.
Yeah.
But I just feel like they can still get the same kind of entertainment, but maybe just have like 2 people play and just rotate out every like 6 points or something like that, just to get, or like choose your best 2 people on the team and have them face off instead of all 4v versus the other 4 on the other team.
I have an interesting idea for the Dream Breaker. I don't know. I was going to save this for when we talked about our shenanigans at MLP.
Oh, well, they will have heard that already.
Oh.
That episode's going to come out before this one.
Oh, okay.
So feel free. Future Will.
Okay, so I was thinking of it kind of like instead of going up in points, you subtract down points. Let's say everybody starts with 4. Let's call it lives. Okay, everybody starts with 4 lives and you play.
Interesting.
Now, if you get beat or whatever,
Yeah.
each point you lose a life. So you can, and then so if I lose 4 lives, I'm out. But the person over there, if I only took 1 point off and they have 3 lives still, they stay on.
Oh.
And then you go through the lineup like that. So then
That
there's
would
some
be
strategy to say who's your starter and who's your anchor and who's in the middle.
Yep.
And then you can choose like a strat of a lineup. It's almost like baseball, like when they choose their innings, like against which batter or whatnot, or if they have a full bases like loaded. And so I think that could be very fascinating.
I think it's a unique idea. How are you just gonna do with the scoreboard?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. But even if you don't subtract, if you can add up some way, but where you get rewarded for choosing a strong lineup, and then if you see their lineup first and you get to choose like your matchup, then you can really play around with some strategies, and it could really be intense, and you can really see somebody being like super hot and going through like steamrolling 3 people, 2 people, and then if you imagine if like you're the last person, you're the anchor, you have 4 lives. And then you have to go through their whole entire team, and you do it.
Yeah.
How epic
That would be so
that'd
epic.
be
that would be epic, and that would be crazy story. Like in the first MLP when Lee Whitwell like went through, was getting the highlights against Jay DeVilliers and who else did she beat?
I don't even remember, but yeah.
Yeah, and just imagine that and then I mean at this last MLP, Mary Brasha, she got it on West Burroughs. She hit that cross going against West Burroughs, and I think you just have some crazy matchups. You'd really see some interesting matchups.
Yeah.
Like I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel for the I don't know. It's still really early, but I'm just thinking APP and PPA are going to have to do some really big changes if they want the entertainment value to be there. Even in person, I've not watched any gold medal match. I mean, I've watched some where I was like, yeah, this is this is good pickleball. This is fun. But at MLP, people are losing their voice.
Yeah.
Like they are literally screaming at the top of their lungs. Like, I don't know. It's
that's where again the team event is just
Yeah.
so different. Like if
Because
you
they win a point, and
Yeah.
then they're like on the sideline, like you see like their teammates run on the court and just high five
Yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
It's like 12. It's like 13-12. It's a big point, but it's only the middle of the match. Still.
Rafa was
You
so
know,
funny.
that's what
so
I was actually-
I had whoever was on the sideline, I had them mic'd up, and I had headphones, so I could always hear what they were saying. So it kind of helped me know what I should be filming. And Rafa was so funny. He kept chirping at Travis Redmine,
What'd he
whatever
say?
his last name is. It's like he'd be like, "That's not a tennis racket." He's like, "That doesn't have strings. That shot doesn't work here." He's like, "You better take that out of here." And there was so much back and forth with that stuff, and I was like, I love this.
That's fun. That's
Like,
fun.
I don't know.
That's fun.
It's really funny because there's people chatting online saying like, "Wow, MLP is so boring," and I'm like, okay, maybe something doesn't translate to the stream. I'm telling you, if you went to that room, there's no shot you could tell me it's boring.
I watched the stream, like I said, I was super busy this
this
past
one?
weekend.
Yeah.
This past weekend I watched it and I was like, this is way more entertaining than the PPA that was on. I was
Even,
like,
even online, you
yeah,
thought that.
that's what I'm saying. So I was like, I wasn't at the actual event, just watching on YouTube. I was just flipping back and forth, and I was like, at one point after I watched like a couple rounds of the PPA, I was like, I'm just exiting out of that browser because I'm this is just way more entertaining.
Yes,
and
for sure.
it just so people that said it wasn't, I have no idea what they're watching.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe they meant to say the PPA. I was like, I don't know.
Well, so you guys haven't experienced minor league yet. I mean, minus the practice you did.
Yeah.
But how would you feel if, like, going forward, basically pickleball existed for you just as a team event?
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually like that. That would be nice.
Yeah, with all the drafts and the seasons and everything. I'm also very glad that I found out that with the minor league pickleball thing that's going on, that there are essentially 2 leagues. There's the Duper 22, with the team can't go higher than 22, and then there's the Duper 20, and I'm playing in the Duper 20. So I'm after playing you guys say, thank goodness I'm not playing against
Do you guys
guys.
know anyone else that's going to Duper 22?
So Leslie knows some of the people down there, and
Okay.
she's talked about like certain teams that
Sure.
have certain people on it. But
Sure.
the full list, she doesn't have it yet.
Okay.
So-
I was just curious if there's anyone else. Like, I know it's not going to be super notable names necessarily. I was just curious, kind of.
There are some like pros, right? So one of the teams that I think is going to do well, at least from what Leslie has told us, is Wyatt Stone has a team. And Wyatt's like a 5'9" or whatever. So
Yeah.
like the rest of his team have to be a little bit lower in Duper.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a stud, right?
Right.
And then there's another team that has Brendan French, who just played.
What?
Oh, sure.
And
Dude, Brandon French is a monster.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Brandon French, and on that same team they have what's the guy?
Oh yeah, Pablo.
Pablo Tellez?
Pablo Tellez?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I was like, they have both of them on the same team. I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
you guys
well,
got some legit, but then maybe the other ones have to be
they
worse.
have to
Yeah,
be
be
lower.
lower.
So
Be
that's
around
where
5
again
or
is.
Because
something.
what does the cap have to be for Duper 22? Like all 4 players would
can't
have to
go
be in
higher
there?
than 22.
So you add up
but
your
you
dupers, you
also can't be like
Like, what would the average duper-
1.25
Oh.
away from each other.
So
Okay.
average
As well.
duper for 22 is 5.5.
5.5,
Everyone
right,
has to be
yeah.
5.5, and then
Yep.
you get to a 22.
So I wonder if it would be better having like 2 6-0s and like 2 5s or something. Like, well, I'm curious how it's gonna work out.
Well, so and that's that. There's a little bit of strategy in picking that.
Yeah.
Right. So if you do have 2 6-0s, right, probably have 1 match guaranteed, but then you also have
Right.
1 match guaranteed loss.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have, you have 4 5. So then it
Right.
comes down to those 1 pairings where it's the 1 good and 1 bad.
How good are they in?
Can they isolate that
Yep.
1 weak player? Because if they can, well, it didn't work out that you got your 2 6-0s.
I'm so excited to hear how this goes for you guys,
It's gonna
especially
be-
just because you played so much. With college tennis, I feel
Yeah.
like it just
Yeah.
fits right in.
Well,
with-
and that's what I was gonna say is it was the most fun ever because normally on court I'm like just pretty happy-go-lucky and whatever,
Yeah.
but like in that event I was chirping left and right. I was
Yeah.
like, where is this coming out from? I was
You're
like,
like,
this is back to my college days.
I didn't even know this was in me still.
Yeah,
It's gonna be awesome. Well, I can't wait to watch you guys play or whatever. Yeah, we'll go, and I guess we're all probably we're playing Germany soon. I'm sure we'll see each other at practice.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. I'm gonna
sure.
rematch with you guys with a better.
Too many jabs for one podcast. My heart can't take it. If you guys don't hear from me anymore, it's because the medic couldn't save me from that roast. All right. I think this is a good spot to end the podcast. Well, thanks for being on, guys. This was a ton of fun.
Yes.
And I would tell all of you if you want to go follow these guys on social media, where to follow them, but they don't really do anything on
Okay.
social media.
That's fine. So we just hope that you guys play some more pro events together, so we can see you guys, repping, I guess, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and all the brown people out there playing pickleball.
Yeah.
absolutely
go.
for sure. That's the plan.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you later.
Laters.